You think the idea of selling off some of these assets either to a Dish or to a Boost, for example, or the former founder of Boost, I should say, is a bad idea?
Well, not both of those. And look, selling off Boost is neither here nor there. If they want to sell Boost, fine. And if Peter Adderton buys it, fine. You question how much it's worth, but the decision wouldn't be crazy to sell it. The real question is, if you're doing this deal, as T-Mobile supposedly is, for two reasons. One is market repair, which is to say industry structure gets better. And two, to get spectrum. Well, if you have to sell spectrum and you create a deep-pocketed fourth competitor like Amazon was the one that I'd originally said it about, well, the cure is worse than the disease, right? It's not sensible to say I'm going to make Amazon a competitor. Even Dish Network, which we've said for about a month or so, is the only viable fourth competitor you can imagine.
And they own a ton of spectrum that's going unused at the moment that the FCC is upset about, frankly, because they've been effectively squatting on that spectrum.
Exactly. Selling more spectrum to them is again, that doesn't help Dish, so that's not a realistic outcome. They may get more spectrum as part of it. But the only deal that we've been saying for a month or so that would ever really create another competitor would be to host Dish's spectrum on T-Mobile Sprint's network. But if you do that, you create a competitor with tons of excess capacity, super low costs, a big pile of debt that they have to service, and a natural incentive to start cutting prices. Is that really a sensible outcome for T-Mobile?
Right. We understand why Sprint wants to do this. That's clear as day.
Absolutely.
If you're at this point, though, is your expectation that they're so hell-bent, if you will, on completing this transaction that they're willing to give away some of this?
Well, I don't know. I think, you could imagine that what Del Rahim actually wants in this, that is, the DOJ actually wants, is to create a set of conditions that makes T-Mobile, or more, I guess, relevantly, Deutsche Telekom, their parent, decide they want to walk away, so he never is put in the uncomfortable position of having to say yes or no.
That's interesting.
So you think do you think it's that scenario, or the flip side was last week, obviously, when the AGs, state AGs, decided to fight this deal, that was a signal to the market that they got wind or have a view somehow that Del Rahim was about to actually approve the deal?
Or it could have been a view that Del Rahim is still on the fence and they want to push him in one direction or the other.
Let me ask you a separate question. If Del Rahim approves this deal, DOJ approves the transaction, state AGs are still out there fighting the transaction, what happens? Just walk us through the permutation so investors understand.
Well, the first thing is you'll have within a week a decision on whether you get a temporary injunction, because they will go to court next week, or this week, I guess, for the first hearing on that. And so, even if you say, look, 70-30, Del Rahim approves it, 70-30, the states lose and the deal gets through, even then you're still talking about only a 49% combined chance that the deal gets approved. So I think people are still too optimistic that this deal gets done. There's still a very real chance that this deal ends up getting blocked one way or the other. And you may not know for a while, because if the courts decide to let this thing go to trial and grant an injunction, you're looking about way after the July drop dead date before you get a decision.